Martin Bashir has been found to have used deceitful methods in securing his Panorama interview with Princess Diana. A report into the interview published today concluded that Bashir acted inappropriately and in serious breach of BBC guidelines. It read, "I have also concluded that, without justification, the BBC covered up in its press logs such facts as it had been able to establish about how Mr. Bashir secured the interview and failed to mention the issue at all on any news programme and thereby fell short of the high standards of integrity and transparency which are its hallmark." The now infamous and explosive interview in 1995 featured Diana saying, "Well, there were 3 of us in this marriage, so it was a bit crowded." Questions had been raised about the methods used by Bashir and the BBC to secure the extremely high-profile princess for a sit-down chat. Lord Dyson, the former Master of the Rolls and head of civil justice, was brought in to look into the circumstances surrounding it. Bashir was found to have commissioned fake bank statements and used deceitful behavior in a serious breach of the BBC's producer guidelines. Bashir has responded to Lord Dyson's report which investigated the circumstances in how the journalist secured his Panorama interview with Diana, Princess of Wales in 1995. He said in a statement, "This is the second time that I have willingly fully cooperated with an investigation into events more than 25 years ago. I apologized then, and I do so again now, over the fact that I asked for bank statements to be mocked up. It was a stupid thing to do and was an action I deeply regret. But I absolutely stand by the evidence I gave a quarter of a century ago, and again more recently. I also reiterate that the bank statements had no bearing whatsoever on the personal choice by Princess Diana to take part in the interview. Evidence handed to the inquiry in her own handwriting, and published alongside the report today, unequivocally confirms this, and other compelling evidence presented to Lord Dyson reinforces it. In fact, despite his other findings, Lord Dyson himself in any event accepts that the princess would probably have agreed to be interviewed without what he describes as my intervention. It is saddening that this single issue has been allowed to overshadow the princess' brave decision to tell her story, to courageously talk through the difficulties she faced, and to help address the silence and stigma that surrounded mental health issues all those years ago. She led the way in addressing so many of these issues, and that's why I will always remain immensely proud of that interview." Richard Eyre, the BBC's controller of editorial policy in 1995, told The Telegraph he had informed Lord Dyson in evidence that Bashir would have breached guidelines in mocking up the statements and showing them to Earl Spencer. He said, "The use of deceit in making factual programs would have been permissible only in the case of investigating serious crime, and where prima facie evidence of the guilt of that person being investigated had already been obtained. Those circumstances clearly don't apply to an interview with the Princess of Wales." The investigation was launched after Earl Spencer alleged Bashir showed him fake financial documents relating to his sister's former private secretary Patrick Jeffson, and another former royal household member, and told outlandish and untrue stories about the royal family to gain access to the princess. Former Director General Lord Tony Hall has said he accepts the 1996 BBC inquiry into how Panorama secured its interview with Diana, Princess of Wales fell well short of what was required and he was wrong to give Martin Bashir the benefit of the doubt. In a statement to the PA news agency, he said, "I have read Lord Dyson's report, and I accept that our investigation 25 years ago into how Panorama secured the interview with Princess Diana fell well short of what was required. In hindsight, there were further steps we could and should have taken following complaints about Martin Bashir's conduct. I was wrong to give Martin Bashir the benefit of the doubt, basing that judgment as I did on what appeared to be deep remorse on his part. Throughout my 35-year career at the BBC, I have always acted in ways I believe were fair, impartial and with the public interest front and center. While Lord Dyson does not criticize my integrity, I am sorry that our investigation failed to meet the standards that were required." TV watchdog Ofcom has said previously it will not launch its own investigation into the BBC Panorama controversy, but will follow the independent inquiry closely. Diana's son Prince William, the Duke of Cambridge, welcomed the launch of the investigation late last year, saying it should help establish the truth behind the actions that led to the programme. His brother Prince Harry, the Duke of Sussex, reportedly also supported the inquiry. The BBC previously delayed the broadcast of a Panorama investigation into the interview. The programme was expected to air on BBC One on Monday but was postponed due to a significant duty of care issue, according to the broadcaster. It will now air tonight, following the publication of Lord Dyson's report. Bashir, who was the BBC News religion editor, left the corporation last week on health grounds. Lord Dyson said, "The report demonstrates, I believe, that this has been the thorough and fair investigation I set out to do. All key individuals gave comprehensive testimony and I am grateful for their cooperation. It enabled my investigation to establish facts based on evidence and for me to draw the detailed conclusions that have been set out today." BBC Director General, Tim Davie said, "I would like to thank Lord Dyson. His report into the circumstances around the 1995 interview is both thorough and comprehensive. The BBC accepts Lord Dyson's findings in full. Although the report states that Diana, Princess of Wales, was keen on the idea of an interview with the BBC, it is clear that the process for securing the interview fell far short of what audiences have a right to expect. We are very sorry for this. Lord Dyson has identified clear failings. While today's BBC has significantly better processes and procedures, those that existed at the time should have prevented the interview being secured in this way. The BBC should have made greater effort to get to the bottom of what happened at the time and been more transparent about what it knew. While the BBC cannot turn back the clock after a quarter of a century, we can make a full and unconditional apology. The BBC offers that today." BBC Chairman Richard Sharp added, "The BBC board welcomes the publication of Lord Dyson's report which it unreservedly accepts. There were unacceptable failures. We take no comfort from the fact that these are historic. The BBC must uphold the highest possible standards. I want to thank Lord Dyson for the thoroughness and diligence of his work." The BBC is today writing to a number of individuals involved or linked to these events to apologise directly. It says it recognises that it has taken far too long to get to the truth. The 1995 Panorama interview received a number of awards at the time. Bosses said they do not believe it is acceptable to retain these awards because of how the interview was obtained.